Hey, good morning, guys. It's Catherine Sutton. I am with KMS Business Marketing Solutions, and I also own my own nonprofit, which is called Mississippi Heroes. So we are here today to do a little webinar on the journey that I took to create my nonprofit, and then some steps that you can take to create your nonprofit. So I'm super excited to be here today, and we will have some great guests that are going to join us. So I would recommend you get a notebook and, just kind of jot things down as we go along. If you have questions, you can either post them in the chat or you can contact me afterwards. I will have all my contact in the webinar, but you can also reach me at MississippiHeroes@gmail.com. That's Mississippi spelled out. So MississippiHeroes@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out. If you're not in our group, please join our Facebook group, which again will be in the chat. And yeah, let's see what we can do today and what we can invigorate you to get going if you have not started already. So I'm going to pause for a minute and shift over to a presentation that I'm going to share with you and go along, and then we'll do a little bit of video with some great people, whether they are an attorney or in the community or with the news media. So it'll be lots of fun. So hold on. All right, so I have pulled up this presentation that I created. So I'm just going to go through this real quick. So what is a nonprofit? Let me scooch this out of the way. So for those that don't know, it's basically an organization dedicated to furthering a specific social cause, or it's serving in the community some way. There are lots of different types of nonprofits. I actually have started two nonprofits. One is a 501c6, which is basically used for chambers and business groups that don't raise money, and they might have memberships. There's so many different versions of everything, but that's what I have created. And then I have a 501c3, which is a nonprofit organization that's tax exempt, and it also raises money to further our mission. So, I'm sure everybody here probably knows what a nonprofit is, but know that there's so many different types. And down here, you can see there's 25 different types of nonprofits. And the 5 most common are 501c3, 501c4, social advocacy groups, private charitable foundations, and then corporate giving programs. So this is just a little background information for those that are just starting in the nonprofit. So if you have not started yours yet and you're trying to figure out how much it's going to cost you, if you don't file your 501c3 paperwork and you just want to get going, it's not that expensive. You're filing your articles of incorporation, which in my state of Mississippi was $50. Some of your costs are going to be different depending on where you live. Your charity status is $50. And then if you file for 501c3, you can do the 1023EZ, which is just under $300. It's for smaller nonprofits with less money involved. It takes about 2 to 3 months to get your status. That's what I filed for mine, because when I started, and even to this day, it's not about raising money as much as being of service in the community. So I was able to start it at the lower level, and my intention is to grow it into the larger level. So the more money you make, you might have to file for the 1023, and that cost is about $600, and it could take up to a year. So just know to look at that. You can talk to the IRS directly. You can talk to some other local nonprofits on how they did it. It's not that complicated. But in a little bit, we're going to talk to an attorney, and you will hear from her the benefits of using an attorney versus doing it yourself. I've used an attorney for my 501c6, and then I did it by myself for my 501c3. Again, there's so many different ways to do it, but you can get your nonprofit going for as little as $100, depending on where you live. And then you can file your 501c3 immediately, or you can wait. So, office setup. I took the route of not having an office right now. So I have kept my cost very small. Not everybody can do this depending on what your nonprofit is. But if you can do it from home and you don't need an office, and you don't need that much equipment or staff, then you can kind of do it and get rolling and then grow as you are building your nonprofit. So it totally depends on your plan, what you want to create short-term versus long-term. So then you have funding. You want to know how you're going to fund your nonprofit. You're going to want to put your business plan together. Grants. Are you going to apply for grants? Are you going to pay yourself a salary? And then do you know how to fundraise? So these are all great questions. As you put together your plan, these are the questions you will be asking or putting together or benchmarking with other nonprofits. So for your business plan, this is a good little outline of what you need. So uses for your business plan, it gives your nonprofit direction. It's easier to recruit solid board members. It's used to attain major donor sponsors. And then if you are going to apply for financial support or a loan from the bank, or even if somebody wants to invest in your nonprofit, you definitely need a business plan. So your key aspects are going to be executive summary, your organizational structure. You'll have your products, programs, and services, your marketing plan, your operational plan, some type of evaluation plan, management in your organizational team, capitalization, financial plan, and then just a simple appendix. So you can do a little variation, obviously, and you can outline your business plan and then grow it, or you can start from the get-go with just like a rock solid business plan if you're going to hit up some heavy investors or for a loan. So we're going to touch a little bit on grants, and in one of our videos we have Chuck Mutes, who's from New Orleans, and he's going to talk a little bit about how he helps nonprofits raise money, which is not a grant, but it's just another way to raise your your bottom line. So for grants are non-repayable funds or products dispersed or given by one party. So we just recently got a grant for our fundraiser for the year. And if you have never applied for a grant, they are pretty tedious. And the one thing you need to know is you need to follow the instructions to a T. You cannot vary from what they ask. If they say, explain what you're doing in 25 words, explain what you're doing in 25 words and do not go one word over. They look for things to kick back all the time. That's how they choose. So just make sure you read through everything, and then you check in as you're doing your project, because sometimes your projects are going to be a year long. So make sure you are visiting or revisiting your grant, you're paying attention to the guidelines, and you don't miss a step. So here's a few resources. You can just kind of take a picture of this page. There's so many resources out there. I would recommend you talk to other nonprofits, do a little Google, talk to your chamber. A lot of chambers give grants. There's a lot of small business nonprofit grants in the community. Just kind of ask around and see what you can find, and then go to some of these websites. There are grant writers. Some grant writers want to be paid. So if you do a paid grant writer, I would highly recommend you get not referrals, but you make sure that you have some, people that have used them, that they've been effective, because you pay your grant writer whether they get you the money or not. You're paying them for the work. So just kind of be in the know and figure that out before you hire them. Nope. So we're going to have to cut that out. Sorry, I said I stopped the recording. I was trying to switch over. So anyway, we're not going to do that again. We are going to go to our next presentation. So I have done these in a series for you. I wanted to go over a little bit of why I did what I did. Okay, so we are going to All right, so we are going to go over a little bit of finding your why and how I chose my nonprofit. So mine is called Mississippi Heroes, and our mission is to celebrate everyday caregivers like heroes. I started it right before the pandemic. It's definitely been very challenging, but it's been also very rewarding, and we're still going, and it's growing, and it's just going to be awesome and amazing. So you need to find your why if you have not found your nonprofit. What is your dream? Like, what is the one thing you're like, oh, somebody needs to start something that helps somebody in a specific way, and then determine what's holding you back. Is it finances? Is it lack of time, or is it support? So I will tell you, pretty much everything is an excuse. We always find excuses every day to not do what we ultimately want to do. So stop making excuses. Figure out what you really want to do and what would just make you happy every day, and then do it. Let's see. So if you've never done a vision board, I would highly recommend you take a day and have a little fun. Mine is framed, and I love it framed. I would highly recommend you get like a large, it doesn't have to be super big. It could be 11 by 17. It could be a 20 by 30. Just get a frame, start cutting out things that mean something to you, and then create your vision board. So if you are not a visionary, one of the key things is if you put it out into the universe, it will happen. So one of my favorite is Jim Carrey before he became, a really well-known actor. He actually wrote himself out a check for $1 million, and he put it on his fridge, I think it was. This was before he made any money at all. And so obviously he's probably a billionaire by now, but that is the power of envisioning what you want to create and what you want to do. So highly recommend creating your vision board. Just do it, take a day and have fun. There's like a write-up. I actually have a write-up on how to do a vision board. So if you want that, just drop a note. I'll gladly share it. It's simple. It's just a lot of fun. So journaling. So I am that person. I'm more a visionary than a journaler. But I have a journal. I have many journals. Some people keep one journal, fill it up, start another journal. I'm kind of that person that writes all over the place and has a million notebooks. I'm actually going to, they have this cool little notebook. You can write all your notes. in your computer, and I'm actually getting a new iPad to do that. So I'm excited because I'm going to actually put everything into my computer going forward that you can write, and it'll actually transition into typed if you want. But instead of having 100 notebooks, I'm going to write it in digitally, and it'll be so much easier to find. But I recommend that you journal, and also that you look for things to be grateful for. So every day, in the morning or at night, during the day, just make a few notes of like what made you smile today, what you love about yourself, your family, the skills you're thankful for. You know, there's just all kinds of things. And make sure you go outside and walk and be with nature. Take a break every day. One of my goals is to take a break every hour because I work a lot. So every hour on the hour, take a 5-minute break, either stretch, do some squats, just do something healthy, physical, make sure to drink your water, just have fun. So have fun with life, create what you want to create, and journal and be grateful and give with love. I have one friend, she always says, do everything with love or from love. It's a great way to start your day. It's a great way to go into any conversation, even if it's an uncomfortable conversation. Don't prejudge it. Just kind of come from love, come from peace, and you'll find you're talking differently or acting differently, or you're actually making things happen because of that. Like if you're going into a business meeting, or you're going to go to see someone to ask for money for your nonprofit. If you come from love and you're true, you know, what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing for the community, like if you are sharing your vulnerability and why you're doing it, you're going to get so much more support. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but you will get support. You will get people jumping on board, and it might take a while. Definitely don't give up, and we'll get to that as well. So affirmations kind of goes with journaling and everything else, but like we just talked about, you know, you want to put or write down your affirmations every day. You need to figure out what you want. If it's business related, my business is growing every day. I have money coming into me, flourishing every day. I'm attracting new clients every day. For personal, I'm stronger. For me personally, I want to work out. I've been having repetitive shoulder issues that totally my fault. Have not been doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But for my affirmation, I want to be stronger every day. I want to be healthier every day. I always struggle with organization, and it's mainly because I do 10 different things and I'm just like running in a circle, but that's how I work. Everybody's different. Some people have one job, 9 to 5. They can have one planner, one notebook, just very organized and consistent. I used to be that way, and then I decided I wanted to do many things. So I just have many notebooks, and I have a juggling schedule that's insane, but it's fun. I love it. So, you know, do what works for you, figure out your affirmations that work for you or what you want to become, and then write them down. And it also can be, you know, I'm going to make $1 million next year. You know, you want it to be realistic, but you also want it to be above whatever it is you want to be. So then comes setting goals. Why set goals? One of the biggest things is time goes so fast. I don't know about you, but my days fly, and it seems like the weeks fly, and before you know it, the weekend's here. I typically work on the weekend, so everything runs in together. And if I don't set a goal, like I'm going to contact 10 people today or this week, if I don't put it down on a piece of paper that I'm going to do it and make a list of those 10 people, the days go so fast, it won't get done. So set that goal. Schedule your day. If you have not heard of the Pomodoro technique, It's basically setting a timer and focusing on a specific task for a certain amount of time. Definitely look at it. It's cool. I love it. I have an example somewhere in my material. So if you want it, let me know. Oh, actually, I have it down here too. If you use it, you actually are making a mental shift between tasks. So if you have a little bit of ADD, which I think we all do these days, it's a great technique to get yourself more focused and actually achieve more. So super cool. So basically, how long is it going to take to achieve what you want to achieve? There's no way to know, but be ready for the long haul. Just kind of keep going. Life is too short not to get started today. So for me and my story, I started Mississippi Heroes because I used to take care of my grandfather. I didn't even know him until I was 26, but him and my grandma were super awesome. He had hurt himself. I brought him down to live with me after my divorce. So I was working full time. I was taking care of him. I was trying to juggle everything. And so it was a lot of work. It was not fun. A lot of my friends kind of started ignoring me. And yeah, life is a story. It was awesome. When he turned 100, we threw him a superhero birthday party. So, you know, I kind of feel like that's where Mississippi Heroes came from. It was not intentionally that way. And he's passed about 5 years now. And I did not start Mississippi Heroes till last year. So it's kind of in the back of my mind. And again, if you go to like your vision board, if you write things down, things come from your history, whatever you've experienced and where you see needs. So definitely, you know, use everything that you have to create what you want. So cool stuff. Here's some pictures and they're super cool. So this is my grandfather after he fell and he was in the hospital. He could not even roll over by himself. He could not do anything. They pretty much wrote him off. And for some reason, I thought I could rehab him and brought him home. And my cousin helped bring him home. And you see here, he's just strapped to the wheelchair because he could not even hold himself up. And just a sweetheart. He lived with me for about 7 years. And you can see he was up walking with a walker. He's in a wheelchair here, but he loved to dress up. This was on his 100th birthday. We literally encouraged him. He was so tired. He passed 3 days after his birthday, but we kept him, we kept him going so we could celebrate with him. So it was an amazing journey. And he was super awesome. So, but that's where I got my nonprofit idea from. So yeah. And basically just do it, you know. I would ask yourself, why not? If there's a good reason not to do what you are struggling with, then definitely don't do it. But if you're just holding yourself back, stop holding yourself back, stop listening to other people poo-pooing your idea, just get out there and do it. So that's just a little bit of my why, a little bit of my journey. We are going to get into the legal aspect next. So, and we have a cool video coming up of an attorney she's also a friend of mine, but she's awesome at what she does and she helps a lot of nonprofits. So, all right, we're gonna go do that. So hold on one second. All right, so now we're going to touch base on one of the most important and scary parts of starting your nonprofit, which is the legal aspect. People always freak out. I know I do. I always want to make sure I'm doing it right and that I'm not missing anything or putting my nonprofit into jeopardy. So, but yeah, we're going to talk about this and then I'm going to show a video of an attorney talking about doing it yourself or not. So, yep, I think we pretty much covered all this. Basically, there's a legal checklist that I'm going to share with y'all. It can take up to 6 weeks to a year. So if you do the 1023 EZ, you literally can get your paperwork back in about 3 months, but you can get all your basic nonprofit set up. You can even start acting as a 501c3 if you filed your paperwork. So super awesome. Assignments, if you look here, I have a little roadmap, which you can also download. If you have not already secured your name and domain, that's one of the key things you need to do. You need to build your board and write your bylaws, which there are templates for your bylaws. Legal steps, you know, there's the legal process. And again, I have a checklist for that. And this is actually the whole 10 steps. There's marketing and social. So we're going to touch base on marketing, social media, community relations and networking, press releases, and all that good stuff. Apparently this is an old checklist because we have fundraising. So I think some of these are pushed together, but you have fundraising, then we have launching. There's a section for ribbon cutting. So yeah, just kind of keep watching. We're going to go through everything, and then you're going to have great information. Here's the legal checklist. So you'll get your articles of incorporation, you'll get your EIN number, you'll file for charity status with your state, develop your bylaws, align your board. You have to have your first board meeting before you can go to your bank and get your bank account. So then you can open your bank account, and then you can file for 501c3. So these are the basic steps. I think every state's going to be a little bit different, and depending on what kind of nonprofit you're doing, it'll be a little different, but those are your basic steps. For articles of incorporation, for Mississippi, this is where you'll go. And if you're another state, you just kind of change out that MS for LA or whatever your state initials are. Your articles of incorporation form a document which establish a corporation as a separate business entity. This becomes a public record and provides information to the public about who you are, which is important if people are going to be donating to you money, and if you want a loan, all those good things. So very important. So your board, there's going to be more in the next module, but you should already have in mind before you start your nonprofit of what your board looks like, who's on your board, what they're going to be doing. If you want a working board or a governing board, there's so many different ways to do everything. But ideally you'll have a working board, or they'll be bringing maybe sponsors to the table. So check in your community before you do your nonprofit of what kind of support you're going to get, and work that into your business plan. There's some nonprofits that get a lot of support because it's a huge need in the community. And then there's others that, you know, there might be 10 of the same nonprofit in the same community, and everybody's kind of vying for financial support. So that's another thing you want to look at, is you don't want to duplicate something somebody else is doing. You want to add to the community. You want to bring something new and something that fills a gap or a need. So your EIN number, or your federal employer identification number, is basically a social security number for your business. So it's a unique number, and it allows the IRS to identify you. So it's very important to have it. A lot of people will be looking for it. So just so you know, filing for charity status, you know, each state is probably going to be a little bit different, but a lot of times you have to reapply for this every year. And if you don't have it, or if you don't reapply for it, you will not be a registered charity. They'll kick it back. You'll have to redo all over again. So make sure you stay in good standings with all your filings. Yeah, very important. So bylaws, what are bylaws? So your bylaws basically direct how you're going to run your nonprofit. So it's a required document or paperwork that you will have to submit to get your bank account. You'll have to submit to get your 501c3 status. And you need to use these bylaws as you grow your nonprofit. You'll have to amend them if you change anything. Basically, in your bylaws, you'll have your mission, your vision, information that specifies the number of directors, your board, length of terms. You can also put in there like the day of the week, or excuse me, the day of the month you're going to be meeting. You'll have your dissolution. Like if you stop running your nonprofit, you have to have a dissolution clause in there. So where that money's going to go, because your nonprofit is not owned by you. So that's a key thing to know. Your board is actually going to run your nonprofit. So make sure your board is a board that really is going to work for your nonprofit, and that they're on the same page with you as far as your mission, because your board, not to put a stickler in anything, but your board can actually vote you off your own nonprofit. So when I was making my nonprofit, I actually tried to put in there that they could not vote me off the board, but they would not accept it. So, you just, it's an interesting world out there, and you want to protect yourself. So, create that board you love, create that nonprofit you love. Make sure your bylaws have it stated exactly how you want your nonprofit to run. Make sure your board loves everything that you're doing, and it's just very cohesive. Those are just some things that I just want to make sure to point it out, because that is a reality. And I have a friend who has a nonprofit, and her board actually tried to vote her off the board. They all actually ended up quitting the board. They did not vote her off the board, and she has a wonderful nonprofit. It's just sometimes people don't get along. So, you just kind of get some good feedback, see what other boards or nonprofits are doing in your area, talk to your legal representation. And again, we're going to move on because I want you to hear her video. So hold on a second. Okay, real quick, to open your bank account, you need your bylaws, you need your legal paperwork. You'll need to have your first board meeting and a copy of the minutes, your board member list, and 2 to 3 signers on your account, some initial funds, and then I highly recommend that you visit your bank often. You know your key person at the bank. You just establish a great relationship, because you will need them. You'll have issues come up. You will want them to know you, because it's so much easier to fix something when they know you, and you don't have to go take your paperwork and prove who you are, and bring 2 other board members, or you just never know what's going to go wrong. My bank is Hancock Bank, and I have cell phone number of my rep, and anytime there's something wrong, I just text her, and I'm like, hey, our password's not working. Hey, we're being charged a monthly fee that needs to be corrected because we just started and don't have any money in our bank. So there's just certain things. Highly recommend build that relationship. Cool. So that is the end of the legal part. I'm gonna pause right now and then bring up the recording. Hold on one sec. All right, so I am going to share a snippet of my good friend Tina Seymour DeMoran, who owns her own attorney agency, and she's going to share some pros and cons of doing it yourself versus using an attorney to create your nonprofit.
Guys, this is Catherine back with you, and I'm here with Tina Seymour DeMoran with Seymour Law Firm, and she's going to talk to you about pros and cons for using a
I was trying to
attorney for starting your nonprofit. So go ahead, Tina.
Okay, so basically I am, one of my specialty areas is nonprofit law. I used to work as an administrator and executive in nonprofit organizations up to the point that I worked in my last job before I started my law firm. So I'm very familiar with the nonprofit field, the do's and don'ts. But the biggest, scariest part of having a nonprofit is getting it established and making sure you're complying with the laws from the very beginning. You need to have a good, firm establishment to make sure you're in compliance with your state and federal laws. The benefits of having an attorney walk that with you is so much better than trying to do it on your own, mainly because the fear of the unknown may paralyze you and slow down the process because you're double thinking everything. The benefit of having an attorney is that we've done it several times. We've put these packages together. This is not our first time trying to find an NAICS code for incorporating it as a nonprofit or a charitable organization and a nonprofit. There's also a process you have to go through in every state that's a little bit different. In Mississippi, it's not enough just to be a 501c3 with the IRS. You also have to be registered and established as a charitable organization with Mississippi Secretary of State. If you don't, then you run the risk of being fined for fundraising without being established. So that being said, making sure you have the proper membership and that you're incorporated, that you're established as a charity, that you have your 501c3 through the IRS, you have your FEIN, you know how to set up a bank account, you have your bylaws. There's a lot of different documents you have to put together, and unfortunately, if you do just a Google search, you can find a lot of those documents, but half of them are not valid, which is going to slow down your process. Seymour Law Firm specializes in nonprofit, but we also work to make sure that if you're starting a nonprofit, you're not paying thousands of dollars to get established as a charitable organization. So what we do is we have you come in, you pay the $53.14 to get established and incorporated on the business side. Then we go into the 501c3 application. We get your FEIN through pay.gov. We put all of this stuff together for your 501c3 easy application, and you pay the $275 online. Then we work during that time to establish your board, get their phone numbers, get their addresses, get your bylaws put together, and get your 990 statement done. By the time you get your determination letter back, at that point, then you have all your homework done and everything started on the charitable side for the Secretary of State. Everything's uploaded except for your 501c3 determination letter. And at that point, we scan it into a PDF form, we upload it, and you pay your final $53.14. And sometimes within 24 hours, you've got an answer back from the Secretary of State either saying, congratulations, or we need a little bit more information. Either way, having an attorney walk you through all of those steps, make sure you have everything done right. So when you do submit it to the state for that final review, it's the reassurance of knowing that you have everything up front, and if it needs to be tweaked, that you're going back to an experienced attorney to handle that. And again, at my law firm, I never charge a nonprofit for my attorney hours for that. The only thing I ask is that you pay that $53.14 on the front, $53.14 on the back end, $275 for your IRS 501c3 easy determination letter.
And I've worked with Tina for a good bit. She helped us start our Like-Minded Ladies nonprofit. And so I've done it both ways, and I can assure you it is great to have that reassurance with an attorney. So it makes your nights more stressful. Definitely, thank you. I wanted to bring you into my course.
But I thought it was important enough for me to get on the Zoom call and help you out, because I love Like-Minded Ladies and I love the charities down here. It's the least we can do. people helped us get established as a law firm. I didn't just walk into my law firm and say, oh, I want to open my own place and know exactly what I was doing. Other attorneys mentored me. And the way I look at it is, it's the least I can do to help small businesses and also nonprofits get established.
Yeah, and you are so awesome and such a blessing to so many on the coast. So
we try. Like I said, we're a small shop, but we do what we can to help as many as we can.
So that was Tina, and yeah, she's just a rock star, and you can actually ask around in your community for nonprofit attorneys that might want to either join your board or give you free advice to set up your nonprofit. So I recommend first doing that. There are a lot out there that'll do it at no charge. So anyway, that is kind of the legal synopsis for my course. If you have any questions, definitely ask, but we're going to pause and then we're going to go on to the next section. Hold on. All right, guys, we are going to talk a little bit about creating your board. There's a lot of nonprofits that struggle with their board. Not gonna lie, it's not easy. And I think if you on the front end determine what kind of board you want, the easier it'll be. So if you want a governing board or if you want a working board, sometimes you just kind of want to get a board going so you can get your nonprofit going and you just don't care. You just take any warm body out there. You can do that, but know that if you do that, you're not going to necessarily have what you want. And it can be challenging. When I created my women's group board, in the beginning, there was a lot of friction, and I had two that jumped off, ended up jumping off almost like a month after. And I almost did not create the organization because it was so challenging. For my Mississippi Heroes board, it's definitely been a little bit easier, but it's a governing board versus a working board, because everybody has full-time jobs. Everybody's coming out of the pandemic. The world is just so busy right now. So I'm working on committees to help offset some of the things that I want to do. So my board has been great at their specific tasks, whether it's treasurer or secretary. They've been awesome. They just haven't had the time to really help plan events or fundraise and do the things that you need as well. So definitely challenging. We're going to talk a little bit more, but some initial tips for creating your board. Make sure you check with your Secretary of State guidelines. Sometimes you have specific requirements that you have to have for your board. Like you have to have a president, you have to have a secretary, and you have to have a treasurer. So you have to start your nonprofit with a minimum of 3 board members. Most have more than 3, but that's like your core minimum, at least for the state of Mississippi. Double check your states and no. But then you want to determine how many you want on your board. I have an events person, I have a social media person, then we have a community liaison person. So every board is going to be a little different. Figure out what you want your board to be, because that goes into your bylaws. And then work to set your monthly meeting at the same time, same day each month. Sometimes you have to put that into your bylaws and sometimes you don't. But before you can get your nonprofit going, you need to have your board, you need to have all this set up. So some ways to find board members, kind of you can look at your friends. It is against guidelines for the most part to have family members on your board. So just look at the guidelines again in your state. But friends, friends are awesome. I don't know if I would really put friends on your board, but you You know how your friends are. I will tell you, sometimes people that are closest to you know your struggles and your weaknesses, and sometimes they can hold it against you, not intentionally. It's just, you know, you don't always get that same level of respect from people that don't know you and don't know your weaknesses. So just keep that in mind um, when you're setting up your board. Do a little interview, make sure their mission and vision is the same as yours for your nonprofit. You want that support. Again, your board can actually kick you off your nonprofit. So make sure you are all on the same page. Make sure you're all in it for the right reasons. And if somebody's bringing something to the table, like their stature, you don't want them to necessarily work hard. You just want them to bring in a sponsor, you know, or sponsorships, or it's a key name in the community. Just know what you want them for, have that conversation, you know, just kind of build your board for you and make sure you're really thinking about it, and you have the best team players and you have the best people for you and the organization that you want to create. Um, Also know that they're the ones that are going to help spread the word. They're going to help you keep your ducks in a row. You want responsible people, you want reliable people. Even if you want people that are going to help you bring in money, you still want them to have the same mission. You want them to be on the same page, because it's a revolving door, and it's also it's your baby. You want it to be awesome. You want the right people. So you can also benchmark with other nonprofits in your area. Also be wary of people that are on more than one board. One or two is usually okay, but if you have someone that's on 10 boards, they're doing it to stack their resume. They're not necessarily doing it for the same cause that you have. So just kind of be cautious about that. Sometimes people that are eager to join your board are eager because they're trying to achieve something. So you will run into that a lot. So yeah, definitely benchmark, interview the people you want on your board. Don't have too many friends. Don't have family members. You know, depending on your state, family members can be tricky. You cannot have a board of family members. You cannot interrelate family in your board. So just kind of, again, look at your state. Definitely don't even do it if you don't have to. You know, just check into it. My boyfriend started on my board, and so he's probably going to end up falling off my board, especially as our relationship grows and if we ever get married. So, but yeah, definitely be very cautious about friends, family, all that stuff. Talk to your state and the regulations. Yeah, so I could talk, but just find out what is required in your state. Check around with people, make sure you definitely interview them, and you figure out who's the best fit for your board. This is actually the board I started out with. It has shifted a little bit. I was the president and founder, and I will tell you that as we developed the nonprofit and it's taken off really well, that I've been voted off the board, but I'm the executive director. So I am running the show, I am taking care of everything, and I have a very supportive board. So Eric is now the president. Don is our treasurer, who is also a CPA. So I highly recommend you have a CPA on your board, whether he just advises or just make sure you're doing everything correctly. So Heather started as our secretary. She's jumped off for personal reasons. Christopher, same thing. He works with home health kind of agency. So he had to jump off for personal reasons. Carol's our event chair. And then I don't have our current one, but we have 2 new board members. We have a social chair and a new community person. So our board keeps, boards are always going to keep changing, but they've been awesome. So, yeah, there is some worksheets that you can download to kind of write in board suggestions, recommendations if you don't have your board. But yeah, take down their titles, affiliations, kind of have some fun with it, talk to them. You want to have as much fun with your nonprofit as possible. So look at everything as a fun opportunity to get to know people, fun opportunity to get to make your own board. Again, I go back to know the requirements in your state and pretty much stay away from family and friends. So unless they're on the same mission as you. So just some assignments, download and fill out your board positions, determine how long and when you're going to have your meetings so that it can go into your bylaws. And yeah, we are going to move on now to, I think, a little marketing and social media. So hope y'all are enjoying this little webinar. So on the board, we don't have a recording of anybody, but for community and the press we do, and then we'll have something from Chuck on fundraising. So hold on one sec. Cool, so we are gonna go into a little bit of marketing. So most people market every day. I'm a big marketer, but I am also a organic marketer. There's so many different types of marketing. But your basic marketing is business to business, and then you have business to consumer. There's all kinds of different marketing strategies. You will hear people talk about digital marketing, direct marketing, email, mobile. There's just so much to marketing. And in my personal opinion, marketing is everything you do. So you can start your marketing plan on a $0 budget. You do not have to have lots of money to do marketing. You obviously do need some money to grow, and you should spend some money in marketing, but to get your nonprofit started and to get your name out there, you do not have to have any money. So I'm going to go over my favorite thing, which is the free marketing and the things you can do to get your nonprofit up and running without spending a lot of money. So, let's see if I can go back. Yay. So for me personally, marketing is everything you do, which I just said. It's handing out your business cards. It's your online presence. Obviously, you can do paid advertising, but you don't have to, especially in the beginning. It is basically a combination of your strategies and your techniques. And we're going to go over a little bit of everything. So marketing plan. What is a marketing plan? Why do you need a marketing plan? And some of the keys to creating a strong plan. Know that, like we said before, having a vision is kind of like having a plan. And if you have a plan, you're more apt to succeed. Do you have to have a plan all the time? No, some people do it without a plan. But if you are not where you want to be, if you don't even know what to do, 100% times 10, you need to have a marketing plan. You need to write down some goals. You need to get out there and work the community. So highly recommend. So you can kind of go back and read some of this stuff on digital marketing, direct marketing. These are just all different types of marketing. I'm going to kind of bypass that and just kind of go to, for me, the 5 marketing tools that you really need to have before you launch. So you want to have a Facebook page. That is the biggest free, marketing you can do right now. Facebook and Instagram. If you're into Instagram, definitely Instagram. You need to have a website. You want to cross-link. People still go to websites. They're never going to go away, especially, with all the changes in the world. Sometimes, at some point you don't know if Facebook is going to go down one day. but they change their algorithms all the time. They change their rules all the time. Life is always changing. Websites will always be there. People will always go to websites. So make sure you have your website, and you can do them pretty inexpensively. Business cards, 100% a must. Hand them out to everybody. One of my go-to rules is I want everybody in the community to know about me and what I'm doing. So every time you see somebody, hand out a business card. Have an elevator pitch. You know, it's important, because if you see somebody in an elevator, for example, and you want to introduce yourself, if you have that 30-second little blip of who you are and what you do, and you master it, then you just hit so many people. So many people will know about you, what you're doing. And if you want to build a sustainable and substantial nonprofit, people must know who you are. They must see you, and they must see you more than once. So we're getting to networking soon, but have your elevator pitch, have your business cards, and make sure your voicemail tells exactly what you do. So if you have not already done it, update your voicemail today and put in there exactly who you are and what you're doing, and even put in a little marketing spin on your voicemail. So, marketing goal, write it down and review it at every team meeting. So, let everybody know where you're at. Just, I think we all forget to do this. I'm just rereading this, and I'm like, I haven't done that in a while. So, but it's so important to keep your team motivated on what you ultimately want to achieve. So, all right, so we are going to move on. All right, so we're going to move on to social media, a little bit of the basics. We're going to kind of discuss the most important social media tools. And if you see the checklist over here, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, Twitter, Google business pages, Snapchat, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn. Obviously, there's a lot of people do TikTok now. You kind of figure out what you will have time to manage and what you want to do. So if you look at the platforms, I would recommend Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can actually link them all together on your, like a program like Hootsuite. And so if you post to one, you post to all of them at the same time. Highly recommend these three. Make sure you're doing videos and putting them on YouTube. Highly beneficial. So I'm sure most everybody knows what Facebook is, but it's basically a free platform. You can connect with friends, work people you don't know. You can share events, videos, you can do ads. So definitely one of the go-to places. And I wish I had bought stock when they first started. So Facebook is the bomb, but know that they are changing their algorithms all the time. And sometimes what worked one day doesn't work the next day. So just know that. Instagram is big for sharing photos. It's a huge social network platform. It's actually owned by Facebook now. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I have challenges with the connection. It drops the connection between Facebook a lot. But it's a great, it's a great free tool, and connect them, share them. You can design your own plan. If you use a scheduler, you can post similar content or the same content at different times of the day. A lot of people will not post the same thing on Facebook and Instagram. However, I personally believe if you aren't sure what to do, or you don't have the time to do it differently, posting anything is better than posting nothing, as long as it's content telling people about what you're doing. So don't post stuff that is creating controversy. Don't post stuff that's negative, and don't post stuff that is grammarly incorrect. So post good content, post different content on each one, or post the same, but get out there and post and share. YouTube is great because you can share videos. You can create a library of videos on YouTube, and then you can share them on your other social channels. But share videos about what you're doing. We're going to skip through the rest of these. You can go through, download, and kind of read up on it. And if you have more questions, we are short on time. Definitely going to touch base on LinkedIn though. It's a professional networking page. If you read here, it has a community of over 500 million people. It's business to business. You get more professionals, and I am out there. I have my stuff on an auto drip campaign because I don't have time to go out there every day. But there's a lot of great business contacts in LinkedIn, and it's a great way to stay in touch and a great way to let people know what you're doing. So definitely use LinkedIn. And then I have this cool little chart that you can actually download, but it kind of explains the difference between the platforms. Like if you're doing Twitter, I'm eating pizza. It's a statement. It's, Twitter is kind of like a news media station to me. But Facebook is like, I like pizza. You put a picture and talking about your pizza and how much you love it. But for Instagram, it's here's a photo of my pizza. So it's more about the picture and what you're doing or where you're at, where Facebook is more about you enjoying something. So obviously YouTube's a video, LinkedIn is skills and how to eat your pizza, or, something business related. And Pinterest is just like so cool. If you don't go to Pinterest, so many wonderful ideas. Right here it says a pizza recipe. So, it's used as a platform to share information, share recipes. There's a lot of exercise stuff out there, do-it-yourself projects, just super cool. So you can use all of these platforms in different ways, but this is just a little quick cheat sheet that I love. So, all right, we are going to pause, and then we are going to, so we've done the media, we've done the marketing. We're going to go to ribbon cuttings next. So hold on. All right, so we're going to talk quick about ribbon cuttings, and then we're going to go into networking and community. But ribbon cuttings are awesome. If you partner with your local chamber, you get a free ribbon cutting every year. So you don't just get one, you can give one every year. And it's awesome because, a lot of times you're changing, you're moving, you're doing a new product. So use the ribbon cutting. It doesn't have to be super fancy. You can have pizza and beer, or pizza and water and drinks. You can have donuts. You can do a theme, like a 20s ribbon cutting, like whatever you want to do. Make it fun, make it memorable. Reasons to do it is it lets people know about your organization. You form community relationships and you create exposure. Basically, it's again used for the opening of a business organization, but it's used for anniversaries. It's used for new products, anything you can come up with. 10 tips, if you want a successful ribbon cutting, pick your date at least 6 weeks out. Make sure it's not on top of another signature event. Talk to your local chamber. They have some guidelines, but pick a theme if you want to make it fun. Have a DJ or some music if you want to make it fun. Know your key objective, whether it's to get a lot of people there and hand out business cards, or you want to showcase a product. So if you're a bakery and you want to push out a new chocolate truffle, have lots of those on hand, give them as samples and give a bounce back coupon. You want people to actually come back. But create an agenda for the event. If you want to have a speaker there, You can do it very informal, or you can have a professional speaker. You can have giveaways. There's so much you can do, but main ingredients are music, whether it's piped into your speaker system, just fun music, some type of food, some type of drink, depending on where you live. A lot of places like to have wine and beer, and do it in the afternoon. So it's like an after happy hour party. Some just do it at lunchtime with soda and water. So do what makes sense for you. Have fun with it. You can do simple, or you can do a larger one. And that larger one can be more strategic, inviting clients, inviting just anybody, just there's so much you can do, literally. So if you want coaching on that or any help with that, gladly would love to help you. I love helping to create events. So, okay, I think that's pretty much the basic for ribbon cuttings. However, if you want to, as part of our assignment, do a mock-up ribbon cutting and I can review it and give you some suggestions, feel free to do that. There's also a ribbon cutting checklist that you can download. Oh, and I forgot to mention, you can also do a press release and submit it to your local chambers in the press to announce whatever it is you're doing your ribbon cutting for, if it's an anniversary, a new office. So, all right, so we are going to move on to the community point. And I'm just going to leave this up and running, because we'll have this and then I have a video for you. So how to create your successful nonprofit, community relations. So yeah, by building community, and I will tell you, a lot of people have trouble with this because they think that there's too much competition. They don't want to tell anybody their secrets. Well, you want to build relationships, and most of the time, no matter if you tell them or not, somebody's going to steal your ideas. Somebody's going to love the way you do something. And they're like, oh, that's such a great idea. Let's try it. And that is life. So kind of feel like what you do helps other people, no matter what. We are all here to help each other. Don't get butthurt. Just go with the flow. Do what you can to make the community better. However you project yourself is how people are going to receive you. So if you come from love, they will just love you back. So get to know the people in your community, give out some free stuff, build relationships. If you're a nonprofit, so obviously you're going to be wanting support from restaurants and businesses. So go visit them, just introduce yourself, see or let them know how they can support you, sponsor you, contribute to anything you're doing. And then make sure you love and appreciate them, and maybe give business back to them, and just have a great time. So again, you can also meet with the other nonprofits, see what they're doing, what works for them. Make sure you keep a notebook in your car. Make sure you always have business cards, informational sheets, do some marketing for your organization. Talk to the community. If you have not built your nonprofit yet, talk to the community about needs in the community and what the voids are, what the gaps are, what is needed, how what you're doing is going to be helping them. So yeah, just keep working it, just keep building relationships and building community. So it's kind of like a little assignment. You can make a list of the local nonprofits that might benefit from yours, that you might be able to benchmark with, get feedback from the community, and then maybe do a little, like a focus group if needed, to just kind of get some feedback. You can get feedback from people in the community. If you have not started your nonprofit yet, this is a great idea. of how to design your marketing plan. Because if you know what the community is looking for and how you can fit into the community, that is going to be how you're going to do your media. Like if you go on TV, you're gonna be like, oh, this is how we help the community. So that's what you want to tell them, how you're going to help them. And you want to tell them in a way that they are going to hear you and they are going to remember you and they are going to support you. So community's awesome. I am going to actually show you now a video. So hold on one second. All right, so we're going to go into my community video. So this is Kimberly, and she's a friend, but also works in New Orleans. And I apologize for the video qualities on these. They were done over the pandemic, and they were done on Zoom without all the extra lighting and stuff. So that might be a little fuzzy, but you'll get the content and the idea. So here we go.
Hey guys, this is Catherine again. I am here with my good friend Kimberly Lover, and she's with Pole Perfect Fitness in New Orleans, and she's going to tell you a little bit about networking and what it's done for her.
Well, like Catherine said, my name is Kimberly Lover. I'm with Pole Perfect Fitness in New Orleans, and without Catherine, I probably would have let my business just not, it definitely would not be where it is. Her teaching me how to network and introducing me to people and showing me what needed to be done, it doubled my business. It literally did double my business, my income. I literally didn't think how important networking was and how important it was to create relationships, but it is so super important to any business, whether you're a nonprofit or you're a for-profit, you've got to have connections, because without them, you're not going to get anywhere. And you always need to be able to help someone else. If you don't know them, how are you supposed to be able to help them? Now they're supposed to be able to help you. And that's one of the things Catherine taught me. First, you have other people first and create a relationship with them. And even if you never help them or they never help you, you've still got a relationship. But usually most relationships, God brings you together for a reason. There's definitely a reason for it. So if you need to learn to network, Catherine is very good at placing people together that need each other, that have the same goals, that have the same look about how they see things, or even she's really good at people who don't even think that they should do that with that person, and it turns out being a great thing for both of them. So that is one thing. Without her, I would not have doubled my business, and I may not have even had her business because I was just really farting around, and she made me actually work at it.
So Kimberly has done a great job in New Orleans, and if you ever go to New Orleans, she has great Pilates class, and she has a great pole exercise class that you definitely need to take. And if you're getting married, she has a bachelorette party class, so definitely look her up.
Birthday parties, girl tie out.
Tell them what your website is, girl.
www.poleperfectfitness.com. And look, there is never a bad time for a pole party. Every occasion will work. Honestly, without you, Catherine, I wouldn't have what I've got. I'm not overselling it. I'm literally telling the truth. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm very transparent. I can be somewhat offensive to some people. So good luck to those of you who can't handle this, because I've been called that. Sometimes tactless is another word. I'm okay with that. At least I'm telling you the truth. So no matter if I'm saying it, it's definitely the truth. But really, without Catherine, I would not have a business. I really would not, and I would definitely not have doubled my profits, because it really, within a year or two of me knowing her, doubled my profits. And they've stayed that way. I'm now still growing. It really is true, though. If you look at the balance sheet, you'd be like, oh my God, I'm amazing. Well, yeah, you are amazing.
You're amazing. No, that's awesome. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted you to share your networking, and because I know you've seen the value in it. And so I wanted to share it with my class, and thank you so much.
It's invaluable. Networking is invaluable. There's not a price you can put on it. it's just really, and for those of you who don't like to network, it's not even about getting business, it's about creating relationships. If you're supposed to be in business with that person, it's going to happen because that's just the way it goes. But it's really just about creating a relationship, because it could be that the relationship is not even for them to help you, it's for you to help them. That could be the ultimate goal of it.
There you go. So that is just a quick video from my friend Kimberly, who I met networking. So it is like she said, it's invaluable. So I just wanted to share that and encourage you to get out and network. So we are going to move on to our next section. I hope everybody's kind of getting some value from this. It's a lot of great content. I actually have a workbook that goes along with my online course, which can be found off my website, catherinesutton.com. I do multiple things, but there's a place on there for online courses, and along with the online course, you do get a workbook with checklists and everything. But if you're watching today, you definitely want to just kind of check that out. I'm also available for coaching, so I can help you, work through the different aspects of your nonprofit. I'm not going to tell you something I don't know. I'm going to, if I don't know it, I'm going to point you in the right direction. Just because I'm not an attorney, I am not, a CPA. I am just sharing my journey and encouraging you to start your journey today. And I have done marketing for so many years. I have worked with nonprofits for so many years. I have been through these things. So I'm basically sharing my journey with you and how I did it, and a little bit of step-by-step of how I did it. So it's a little bit easier for you, and hopefully more fun. And sometimes you just need somebody to, say, hey, you're doing a good job, or, it's okay if you're anxious, or, you're doing it right. Don't lose sleep over, anything. Because, I think our biggest thing that holds us back is fear. So we don't want to be held back by fear anymore. We want you to keep rolling. So we kind of went over community. We went over legal, ribbon cutting. So we're going to go on to the press, which is one of my favorite things. I love the press. I'm not sure about you, but I have a video from the press too. So, but I'm going to share with you a little bit about, let me just make sure, okay, how I submit my press releases when, and how I built my relationships. Obviously, it takes time and years to build anything, and you have to just keep moving forward. But 3 reasons to submit a press release. You have to announce your nonprofit, announce upcoming events or your ribbon cutting, and just share program developments. Why you should take the time. It's free. Again, remember a while ago we were talking about free marketing. Press releases are free marketing. If you need an example of a press release, let me know. Learn your local media. Over time you'll meet them. Sometimes they're really down to earth. Sometimes they've been around a long time and they have their go-to people. You just build the relationships for you. But anytime you get on the media, it's exposure. It's great learning tools. You'll build relationships. People will get to know about you. Cannot say enough good about the media. So your objectives with me are to create a draft press release, create your media list. If you have no idea who to send a media or who to send a press release to, we're going to go through creating your media list. Then send out your first press release. So if you have not started your nonprofit, you'll send one as soon as you do. And if you've already started it, you can just share, like for me, for Mississippi Heroes, when we do a real reveals, Sometimes we send out a press release, or when we do events, fundraisers. So anytime you do something big that's kind of, newsworthy, send out a press release. You may not get any coverage at all, but if they keep seeing you, eventually they're going to pay attention and they're going to want to know what you're doing. So here's a little example. Obviously, you want your logo. This was for my women's group. You want your contact information, title, your location, the date. You put your paragraphs in here. At the bottom, you have your, let me go back. At the bottom, you have your little boiler points about your organization and contact information. So I have seen press releases double-spaced and single-spaced. You can talk to your local media and you can ask them and find out what they like. You can submit them different ways for different, media contacts, or you can just figure out what works for you, and then just send them out. So again, we're going to create a media list and draft a press release. So that's basically your media. The media is so much fun. And we're going to pause, and I'm going to actually find the video for you of my media contact. Hold on one second. All right, we are going to hear from one of our local media people on press and why you should do it.
Hey guys, it's Catherine Sutton, and I am here with the beautiful and talented Lindsay Goodwin from WXXV, our local news channel. And she's just going to tell us a little bit about building relationships with the TV media. And yeah, so Lindsay, take it away.
Yeah, so I think one of the main things is people here, especially in your local news, we are here to serve the community and see our careers as a public service. We want to get out and tell your story. So as a nonprofit, I think it's super important for people in the community and us as reporters to have a relationship, build a positive relationship with the people in the community, as well as you building a positive relationship with your news reporters and people who are sharing your story.
Yeah, so I know as a nonprofit, or been in the nonprofit world for years, sometimes we don't know what to submit. Do we submit events or ribbon cuttings? What do y'all like to report on?
So all of the above, yeah, we love hearing about the events that you guys are doing to help the community. We love to hear those stories. We're all about those ribbon cuttings. We want to let the community know what is going on. And you guys are a nonprofit, so you guys are reliant on the community. So we want to hear what you guys are doing so that we can tell the community how we can help you and further help the rest of them.
So if I am a nonprofit or a small business and I want to reach the media and tell you about what's going on, what's the best way for me to submit the information to you?
So a really good way is, like you and I, we have a good relationship. So a really good way is to have a specific person in the media's contact information. So, you have my information, we can coordinate, you can message me directly, and then I'll kind of try to cover that story for you. But if you don't have access to an individual person's contact information, send us emails, send us the press release through the email, send us stuff on Facebook. We're a news outlet, so we're constantly watching all of our different outlets, so social media, our emails, our phones, all that.
Right, I know y'all stay very busy.
Yes.
So, no, that's perfect. I think that pretty much gives everybody a good idea, and hopefully they feel more comfortable because you're very personable and just a lovely person. And, I just recommend to everybody to get together with your local media and get to know them and find that person that you can, work that relationship with. So
yeah, and our jobs are, again, like my job is reliant on you. Our stories every day are formulated by the community. So just like I'm sure you guys want to have a good relationship with us, we want to have a good relationship with you to ultimately better serve our community.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So there you heard from the awesome Lindsay, and you know, just sharing a little bit about the press. So these videos are they're awesome. So I'm hoping the content that I'm giving you, you are finding very helpful. And, you know, hopefully you want to, you know, check out my full course. It is, you know, goes into a little more depth of everything that we're talking about here. So we are going to move on. So that was the press. And we have talked about the board, we've talked about marketing, we've touched base on community, the legal ribbon cutting, social. So we're going to go into a little bit of fundraising. And fundraising is one of the things I absolutely love. But fundraising is in my course. And just to mention real quick that one of the reasons I ended up starting my nonprofit is because I had this amazing fundraiser that I started for another nonprofit, which is the Railroad Museum, but they didn't want it because it took too much time away from what they wanted to do. So I had this fundraiser and I tried to give it away, but nobody wanted it. So I ended up last year, it was right before the pandemic, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do the fundraiser again, I want it to have a purpose. And, you know, I think I was talking to my boyfriend and I'm like, he mentioned the Mississippi Heroes idea, and it just all came together. You know, sometimes life just comes together. I can't tell you the specific day or time or anything, but that's how Mississippi Heroes was born. I already had a fundraiser to help fund it. So it was exciting. So anyway, just wanted to put that little snippet in. So for fundraisers, again, it's one of the things I love doing. I love putting together events. My fundraiser is the Gulf Coast Beer and Bacon Festival. It started out as the Wild West, and it evolved into Ales and Rails, and then it evolved into the Gulf Coast Beer and Bacon Festival, and we sell out every year. So people love it. It's so much fun. It is so much work. It's a little bit about the theme. It's a little bit about the location. So I have a fundraising roadmap that's similar to starting your nonprofit. You need a timeline, marketing plan. You need to do press release. You need to do social. Everything is a lot of work. So if anybody ever tells you things are easy, they are, but they are so much work. And you have to dedicate a lot of time and effort. One of the things I will highly recommend is that you have a budget for your events. The first year is always probably the toughest year. You're learning. You probably don't have as much support as you will get down the road. Try to balance your budget the best possible and spend as little money as possible, because you won't be making any money the first year. Don't end up in the hole. You at least at a minimum want to break even. Think of your event as building exposure. Do you want to make money? Yes. I'm not saying don't make money. If you can get 10 sponsors at $10,000, do it. Every location's a little different. Every event's a little different. Depends on how much support you have coming out of the gate. So I'm not here to tell you it can't be done. I'm just letting you know, if you make 100,000, awesome. If you make 0, if you break even, you're gaining exposure, you're gaining support, you are building a foundation. What you definitely don't want to do is end up in the hole. Don't end up in the hole. Don't make it cost you money. However, you might have this strategic plan of going in the hole and then it's going to bounce back later. So come up with a plan that works for you. I have seen people do it every different way. I think in the beginning each year, our fundraiser made about 10,000 after expenses. This past year, we were able to make, we made almost 40,000, which is good for our location. We're still waiting on final expenses to come in this year. But next year we expect to make a lot more. So you have your building foundation, and that is with no sponsors. So I will tell you, I have a fundraiser person that's going to come on. I am pretty transparent. Sponsorships is always my weakest link. I don't like to ask for things. So you do have to ask for things to have a nonprofit and to be successful. So I ask for what I absolutely need. And the money aspect, I always have a hard time for. So I always look for somebody to offset my skills. So, hey, if anybody wants to come be my sponsor, securer for Mississippi Heroes, I will take you. So I'm just sharing my journey, my path, and telling you not to let things stop you, but also to be practical, resourceful, determine what you need, determine your area. I'm in Mississippi, the southern part of Mississippi. There's some people with money and people without money. So we're a very mixed hybrid here, you know, and again, you know, I'm just sharing my story. So make that timeline, make that plan, figure out your budgets. Events are so much fun. And that's my goal, is I want to make something that's fun for the community. So we have our little roadmap, which this one's actually done fully, but you have your theme with your name, your vision and objectives, secure your location, set your day and time, set your budget and ticket pricing, keep your costs low, determine your audience, launch your event and celebrate, have a volunteer plan, have a press plan. Oops. Oh, it's not gonna let me go back. Oh, there you go. Plan your food, drinks, entertainment, and then your sponsor marketing plan. So much fun, so much work. Get lots of volunteers. My volunteers change every year. This past year, we just had an after party, which went off really well. I highly recommend doing that. We are building a great event. So we are always, for me, it's always a foundation and you're always building upon it. So yes. So here's like a 1-page marketing plan that you can download. And here's a little checklist for marketing that you can use. All these will be able to be found on my website, catherinesutton.com. And again, you can sign up for the full course. Going back to the Wild West, where we have our event, they build movie sets and movie props. It's a phenomenal location. The first year I wanted to do an event just for fun. It was so much fun and everybody loved it. So yeah, I think we've talked about everything else. This is a press. Sorry for the blurry photo. But yeah. And then last but not least, believe in you. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So we are going to stop on the fundraiser. And then we are going to go to just launching your course, or not your course, launching your nonprofit. So basically, if you put together your legal paperwork, if you put together your marketing plan, if you put together a press plan, if you set up all your materials and start networking, and you set up your ribbon cutting, and you build the foundation for your fundraiser, you have all the ingredients to create a successful nonprofit and to get it rolling. And whether you start out the gate taking a salary, whether you never take a salary, or whether you take a salary down the road, you're building what you want to build for you, for your future, for your legacy. So definitely, if you have not started, do it. And if you have started, but you're stuck somewhere, let me know. I'd love to help you. So if you go through all of the steps that we've talked about, you're going to just launch. You're going to submit your press release. You're going to do your ribbon cutting. You have all your marketing materials. You're just going to launch. So like I said, everything should be done. Your roadmap should be done. Your legal paperwork should be done. Your fundraiser should be on your calendar. So you should be getting excited. If you're not, you may not be ready. or you may just be a little anxious and you need me to tell you, go ahead and do it. You can set up a time if you want to just do a consulting session. I'd be more than happy to just talk through everything with you and help guide you. Again, I don't know everything, but I know so many people. If I can't help you, I'm going to point you in the direction of someone who can. But we're going to get you set up. We're going to send out your press release. You're going to start posting on social media at least 3 times a week, up to once a day. You can, figure out what works for you. Get your dates on the calendar. All right, so one of the last things we're going to talk about is self-care and making sure you are keeping yourself a priority and not losing yourself as you progress in your mission to create your nonprofit. So self-care is vital. I actually have a friend who wrote a book on self-care, self-love. If you're interested, I'll probably drop her information in the course because it's just such an important thing to do. Take time for yourself every day. Take time to exercise. If you don't go to the gym, at a minimum, walk around the block once or twice a day. It's so good for you just to stay healthy and to keep your mind fresh. Enjoy your journey. Always hard. I am not going to say I don't struggle trying to find my happy place or, just getting overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff to do and I want to do this. But for the most part, I do enjoy it. I enjoy what I'm creating and I'm enjoying the smiles and the enjoyment that people get from what I'm doing. So keep the faith. Surround yourself with those that love you and support your mission. If you need a coach, get a coach. I'm happy to help you, but everybody has their own personality that they relate to. So I will never encourage somebody to work with me if we're not the same personality. Definitely recommend you have somebody you can talk to. There's SCORE, a lot of locations. If you go to SCORE, SCORE, they are mentors, local mentors that will help you. Sometimes you just need a mentor, but sometimes you need a coach. And if you want to grab a personal board, I had one for a while. It can be a group of business people or friends just to help hold you accountable and just to kind of give you some input on what you're doing and some support. So support is one of the biggest things we all need. And join, if you have not already, my private Facebook group on how to build a small business or a nonprofit. Great people in there. It'll be just a good support system. You can do a coaching session. You can sign up for my course. So many ways to help you achieve what you want to achieve. But bottom line, self-care. Make yourself a priority. So yeah, I think we've covered everything. We do have one video, which is going to be outside of the webinar, I think, because we are out of time. But look for the video. It will be with Chuck Mutes on fundraising and how he helped level up our fundraiser. He can actually do virtual fundraising. If you're in the Southeast area, he can come to your event. And he is an auctioneer, promoter. He just helps bring silent auction items, live auction items. He brings the fun. That's what he says. He puts the fun in your fundraiser. So he's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to sharing that video with you. And yeah, I'm so sorry we're out of time. I'll probably do an add-on as well because there's a few other things that I would love to share with you. So again, I'm Catherine Sutton, catherinesutton.com. Life is great. Mississippi Heroes, you can follow us along, mississippiheroes.org. We have a really cool event coming up in November for National Caregiver Month. But yeah, y'all take care and we will see you soon. Bye.